Can to state that this is a special press briefing. This will be the first special press briefing that has been called by the UPND Alliance, and this press briefing will be addressed by the co-chairpersons and the president himself of the Alliance, President Akafumba. And we'll start with a prayer that will be given by Pastor Isaac, and we'll proceed to hand over to the chairperson of the UPND Alliance, who will immediately introduce his team and get on with the business of today. Thereafter, we'll have questions from the members of the press, which will be taken by the chairperson and the team, and then we'll close. Before we start, we'll call upon the pastor who is with us this morning to give us a prayer. And since we'll start with a prayer, we'll close with a prayer. So, welcome once again, and our first reading has just begun. Pastor, please give us a prayer, opening prayer.
Shall we just pray? Our Heavenly Father, we approach your throne this afternoon, praying for this meeting, praying for the President, praying also for the leaders of the Alliance. But above all, we want to pray for this nation that we dearly love. We pray for peace, we pray for unity in this country. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray that, Lord, you shall secure each and every Zambian, and that, Lord, no life shall be lost during this period. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. It is now my honor and privilege to hand over the proceedings of this press briefing to none other than the chairperson of the UPND Alliance, Honorable Charles Milupi. But just before he takes over, I just want to recognize the presence of our incoming Mayor, His Worship, Mwansa. Thank you for being in attendance. Over to you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, and good morning, members of the press. Today is special, it's an emergency press conference. It's meant to address the main one issue of major concern to the nation, and that is the pronouncement by the Republican President yesterday in his capacity as PF President, when he was launching his campaign as PF President, when he made certain pronouncements that ought not be made by a candidate, specifically referring to his directive banning rallies, his instruction to public institutions such as the police to arrest those that, in his opinion, contravene his instructions. These are serious matters, and that is why we felt that it was necessary to quickly respond to what he has said. My first responsibility at the moment is just to introduce members of the top table, especially Alliance partners. The co-chair here is Mr. Ernest Mwansa, or Dr. Ernest Mwansa. Is with us. He's president of ZED, but he's a member of the UPND Alliance. Officially, we are the UPND Alliance. The far end there is President Leslie Chikuse, who is the president of RPP. And next to him is interim President Joseph Akafumba, who is interim president for NDC, National Democratic Congress. And of course, you have already heard that we have our mayoral candidate, and we wish you well, Mr. Nyasulu. And we had a very lovely prayer from our Reverend there. And we have then our candidate for the UPND Alliance candidate. That is none other than President Hakainde Hichilema. So these are the people that will be addressing us. The first one, just to help our protocol, our secretary to the Alliance, the first one to address will be the co-chair. So, co-chair, please.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, welcome to this press briefing. As my co-chair has said, the pressing issue has arisen, and it has emanated from what the presidential candidate for PF has said in his capacity as candidate, and not in the presidential capacity, since, as we are all aware, he was launching his own campaign program. And it must be borne in mind, therefore, that the person who was standing there, though President of the Republic, was standing as a candidate in the election coming on the 12th of August. And we want to respond to his statements from that perspective. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, what the President of the PF said is strange. Banning contenders and competitors from going out in the countryside to campaign while he's doing so himself. It is to me, ladies and gentlemen of the press, like a boxer who tells his opponent, don't train, but we'll meet in the boxing ring on the 12th of August. That does not make sense. He must be ready to face a well-trained, well-physically opponent and be able to fight that opponent toe-to-toe, head-to-head. And this alliance wants to make a few comments clear to him. Firstly, that the campaign season has opened, and he does not have a right to tell us how we campaign. We campaign as an alliance the way we want to campaign. We know, as this alliance, UPND alliance, that COVID is available, is around rather. We know. He is not the one to tell us how to campaign during the COVID period. But he can't stop us from campaigning. He doesn't have a constitutional right to do so. And he will not have it while the campaign lasts. We want to say to our people, observe the COVID rules, but go out and campaign, because it is your right to do so. It is the right of every Zambian to express their views in relation to the coming elections. We do not accept as the alliance for our opponents to take themselves to all corners of this country using government money, campaigning, and then tell us not to campaign. We reject that idea. It is undemocratic. It actually smacks of dictatorial tendencies. We do not accept that someone must tell us where to go and campaign, when to go and campaign, all in the name of avoiding, coming together. I just want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, did you see what happened yesterday when he was launching his campaign? Weren't there people there? Were they dressed like these honorable gentlemen are here? Were they? Did they have their mouthpieces? No. Why should it be okay for the PF and wrong for the alliance to campaign. I want to say further that the constitutional right to express views cannot be thwarted because there is COVID. It can't be, and it won't be, and we won't accept it. Because we have to campaign if we expect to win. People must know why we are different from the PF. How can people know unless we speak to them? You know, you cannot be asking your friends to stay quiet while you campaign. We have all seen planes, government planes, by the vice president's plane going to various places. To do what? To introduce a vice presidential candidate for PF. Meanwhile, we should not campaign. We have seen vehicles running through the streets of Lusaka, inaugurating, as it were, the presidential campaign of the PF leader. But we must not campaign. We have seen rallies where they have been distributing clothes, rallies where bicycles have been given, people not having anything on their mouths and noses. But we must not campaign. We want to tell the presidential candidate for PF that we will campaign, that he cannot stop us from campaigning, that it is our constitutional right to campaign, that much as he wants that seat there, we have also a presidential candidate to sell. And he must accept the fact that in a democracy, that is how things go. If he doesn't have a following, that's not our problem. But we want to show this country that the wind of change is blowing. We want this country to know that we are not cowards. And for that reason, we want to plead with our police officers. We are law-abiding citizens. We have no intention to make things difficult for our police. I know, and we know, that they are putting them in a very awkward situation where they have to try to obey the head of state who is actually a candidate, and at the same time, you know, balance with the need to ensure that the opposition have also got a place where they must campaign. It is a difficult situation, but we know that our police are professionals. Those who are not will be exposed. This does not leave someone to walk the thin line. They will either be professionals or unprofessional and undermine the law themselves. So our hope and desire is that our police officers will be able to see through what our colleagues in the PF are doing and realize that their intention is to stifle our right to campaign and be neutral in this political battle. That is all we are asking them to do, and that is not too much to ask. Let's see who draws the crowds. Why are they afraid of seeing the crowds of the UPND alliance? Let them see them. They have been trying to do that wherever they have gone. It is our turn. He, the president of this country and the president of PF, is the one who dissolved the parliament to usher in a time of campaign. Yet he wants to tell us, don't campaign. Police arrest these people. So what does he want us to do? Watch him go around the country, campaigning for himself, while we shut up and sit in fear? Far from it. We will not be intimidated. This country belongs to all Zambians. Mr. President of our alliance, this is time for your flag to rise. It is your turn to tell the country what you want to do for it. We should not accept anyone stopping us from doing what the Constitution allows us to do. And we will not allow anyone to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, our simple statement is this, and my colleague, the co-chair, will add to it. We will campaign. Members of the alliance, campaign. Go out to the people, tell them change has come. It is not it is coming, it has come. Our friends have had their day. It is the day of the alliance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Co-Chair, for that very clear message. Members of the press, and through you, the whole nation, and those who are listening to us using various fora throughout the world. As my co-chair, who happens to be a very senior lawyer in this country, I'll say, that pronouncement by President Lungu in his capacity as PF president is clear an infringement on the rights, constitutional rights of citizens of this country, members of the opposition, and indeed other candidates who are competing to be presidents of this nation. And our constitution is very clear. It is the duty, if you read the constitution, it's the mandate of every citizen to protect and defend the constitution. I say this as a previous lawmaker when I was in parliament. That's very, very clear. So where you have, as a citizen of this nation, where you see evidence of anyone infringing the constitution, you have a right to take action to protect the constitution. That's our number one job as citizens of this country. Clearly, yesterday's pronouncement is an infringement on the constitution. And it's our right as citizens to ensure that that infringement does not take place. And that's one of the reasons why we are addressing this press conference. Now, if the issue was strictly COVID related, we are all aware and we are all concerned about the possibility of our citizens catching COVID and dying from COVID. But let me remind the nation that Mr. Lungu himself and his government have not shut down this country because of COVID. Our borders are open, and there has been no directive that this country goes into what is called lockdown. And as a result, if you go to any of our markets, anywhere in Zambia, you'll find that people are operating, and sometimes without even adhering to the health protocols. You go into our bars, they're operating. Schools, of course, and other workplaces, they're operating. Go into our police cells. We have so many of our members that are in police cells, very confined spaces, and of course prisons and the other holding centers. Go and see where the government is concerned about ensuring that we have COVID protocols in those areas. We don't. Our view and our position as opposition alliance is yes, we should adhere to what has already been pronounced as health protocols in an attempt to stop the spread of COVID-19, and that is regular hand washing, sanitizing, masking, and of course social distancing. And we urge all our members, all our followers to adhere to this. At the moment, there is nothing in those protocols that stops people from meeting, provided they take into account those protocols. In other nations where the fight against COVID has been well structured, you have seen governments putting in place the acquisition of vaccinations, COVID vaccinations, and promoting the vaccination of their citizens. In Zambia, you haven't seen this. The few vaccinations that came as a result of donations, where we as a country have been failing to bring in these vaccinations using our own resources. But the few that came, if you look at the numbers, only slightly over 100,000 have so far been vaccinated. We see this as a continuing effort of Mr. Lungu as an outgoing president. That's our feeling from what we get on the ground. To continue to have this uneven playing field during this election campaign, in the hope that this might go somewhere in ensuring that he continues to run this country in the manner that he has done in the last 8 years. For the period leading to this campaign period, PF and President Lungu have used public institutions to stop the opposition from engaging with the citizens of this country, so that the opposition can explain what it is they see wrong in this country, what it is they promise to do differently in this country. We have seen that. So we have seen this unfair and unconstitutional application of the Public Order Act. It is not for lack of trying that we in the opposition UPND alliance have not been holding rallies, have not been holding public meetings. We have made many applications to the police. These have been turned down. Where we have had meetings, these have been disrupted, and in certain cases, our members injured. Added on to this, there are cadres, the PF cadres, and their violence. The exhibition of their violence has stopped or constrained our members, our constituent opposite political parties within the UPND alliance from engaging with the public, certainly in places like markets and bus stops. President Lungu and the PF have had a field day addressing rallies in the guise of inspecting projects, opening bridges. In the last few weeks, we have seen opening of bridges, masses of people without really adhering to these COVID protocols. If they were really that concerned about stopping the spread of COVID, why were they doing these things? In fact, as late as yesterday, when he was launching his campaign, you members of the press have pictures of the crowds that gathered there, both inside the Mungush Conference Center and outside. If you are that concerned about stopping the spread of COVID, why did they allow that to happen? Be that as it may, our job here is to ensure, as I've said in the beginning, that it is our responsibility to defend the Constitution. And therefore, a clear direction is being given to all UPND Alliance members and all citizens that want change to go flat out to deliver the message that we have, the message of hope that we have for this country. And therefore, the direction that is coming from this meeting today is that all our councillor candidates throughout this country, wherever they are, those standing on our tickets, UPND Alliance tickets, as mayors and the council chairpersons, and all our MP candidates, all officials of the UPND Alliance parties, whether it's provincial chairpersons and their committees, district committees, constituents, ward committees, wherever they are, and all citizens that support us. We are now instructing them to go flat out in the campaign. Door to door is essential, but also meetings that allow people to come together. We have said, observe the health protocols, as we have said, do not be afraid. Any change, especially from a dictatorship, requires bravery. If it wasn't so, this country would still be under colonialism. We had the colonial masters who had the army, who had the police, who had everything that you can think of, all the resources. And the likes of Kaunda, Kumbula, Kapwepe, Mudia, and so and their friends had to come out. Many of them were detained. That's the nature of dealing with the dictators, as we are right now. We have a choice to cow down, because one of the competitors wants us to cow down. And if we do that, there will be no change. And I want to turn to ECZ, Electoral Commission of Zambia. We want ECZ to take charge of this process. They are established by law, established in the Constitution to ensure that elections are held in a transparent manner, in a free and fair manner, and to ensure that the playing field is even. Many actions taken by President Lungu and his minions, their pronouncements clearly infringe this. And yet ECZ, who are supposed to be the referee, are quiet. Where are you? What is your role in all this? You know that yesterday's pronouncement, ECZ, infringes the rights of not only the UPND Alliance, but all the other opposition presidential candidates and their parties that are participating in this. Why are you quiet? What is your role in this? Do that which is required. Because that pronouncement clearly disadvantages the other participating candidates and the parties, and we expect that you protect the system, you protect this election process instead of you keeping quiet. So I want to thank you. The message is very clear. We must go out and fully campaign, engage with the public without fear or favor. Thank you very much. At this stage, I want to invite the man of the moment. And wherever we go, I think that face, that voice has become what people want to see, what people want to hear. We hear that in terms of Facebook. I think now it's very popular, and we continue to ask people to follow this Facebook, so that he becomes number one. At the moment, he's very close number two to Mwansa. But he has a message for you, candidate. And I invite you, President Davi-tech-media, to address the nation.
Thank you very much. Co-chairs of our alliance, UPND Alliance, and fellow presidents of the alliance that are present here, the incoming mayor, Lusaka, and other senior colleagues that are here, and indeed, with grace, the media, who have been here for some time. It's a pleasure to have you here. My colleagues have stated the reason that we are holding this press briefing. And through the press, through yourselves, it's a message for this country. All of the citizens, residents of this country, and others that have interest in the welfare of this country, well-being of our people, stability of our country, and more importantly, sustenance of democracy, respect for the rule of law, which is at the moment being abrogated deliberately by those that are supposed to be in the forefront of maintaining our democracy, the rule of law, and human rights. I think you've heard from the co-chairs, President Mwansa, Dr. Mwansa. You've heard from President Milupi. The message is very clear that we disagree. And I know we speak for the people of Zambia. We disagree with the posturing, the misleading statements that Mr. Lungu issued yesterday. He is a competitor who wants to hide under cover of occupying that people's house, for which is just a temporary tenant. Sometimes my colleague forgets that he's there at the behest of the people of Zambia. Only just as a temporary tenant, because that house belongs to the people. All of us seeking public office must remember, always, that we derive our opportunity to serve from the people of Zambia, who own that which is public. So my colleagues have articulated that position so that we are unambiguous today. We disagree with the posturing that Mr. Lungu exhibited yesterday at that crowded place. And everything he said was a complete negation of the actions that were taking place yesterday, and the days before, and the months before, and the years before. Yet we were in a COVID environment. So I am just tracing what I will focus on by acknowledging what our two colleagues have said, and that is the position, that is the view of the Alliance, and I believe that's the view of the people of Zambia. Having heard what our colleagues have said, I want to emphasize a message to accompany what my colleagues have said. And that message is that The 2021 elections are a watershed election. The critical election, given the state of our country, given the degeneration on the economic side, on the social side, the hunger that is prevailing in our homes, these elections are an opportunity to address the poverty that our people are going through in great pain like never before. This is the opportunity that Zambians have to correct that which has been going on wrong for 7 plus 3 years. There's a reason I'm saying 7 plus 3 years. Because under President Sata, from 2011, those 3 years plus, we didn't suffer as we have suffered as a country in the last 7 years under Mr. Lungu. That's a fact. Figures don't lie. That's why I love figures myself. Numbers don't lie. The economy has been destroyed. Jobs have been destroyed in the last 7 years of the PF government. And what our colleague was attempting to do yesterday was to create a situation where even when the court are contesting, some people through the courts are contesting whether he qualifies or not, but that's a subject which is in court, and I will not say more because the courts will handle it. And we believe the court will act for the people, not for an individual. Because the interpretation of the Constitution is always for the people. Remember when you are taken to court, people like me who has been taken to court several times, it is the people versus the HH. Why do they say so? Because the laws, the Constitution are for the people, to protect the people. The judiciary is for the people, not for an individual. And we'll wait and see how that process concludes. But more importantly, my colleague, our colleague yesterday, was essentially working to create a situation where he's not challenged at the election table by default, by decreeing what he said yesterday. So the people of Zambia can continue suffering. We say no to that, completely no to that. And so this election is critical to address these concerns, this decline in our country, the suffering, the poverty. I'm emphasizing that. So it's an opportunity for the people of Zambia to redeem themselves from these problems. I'm sure you agree with me. And those that are following this press briefing do agree that we have an opportunity lurking around the corner. Maybe the pronunciation should change from lurking to lurking, meaning waiting, just hanging around to save the country and its people from this destruction. That is unprecedented. The corruption that we've never seen ever before at my age. Between 1991 and 2001, we were talking of corruption. That was child play. The corruption today is humongous. The greed today is unprecedented. So this is what Mr. Lungu wants the citizens to face this year from August to 2026. That's how critical these elections are. I want to emphasize that these elections are for the people of Zambia. Having said what I've said, the suffering people of Zambia, they are the owners of these elections. They are the ones who decided that every 5 years, there will be elections, general elections, to decide whether those in office continue or exit. So these elections must be free and fair. And no one should be allowed to get these elections to be anything else other than being free and fair. Because the people decided that the test for any team of leaders will be over a 5-year period. And the people are saying, and the people have heard, that there is a manifesto from PF. I want to encourage you, the people of Zambia, not to read the PF manifesto. There is no way someone who's been in office 10 years will give you a piece of paper and say, read what I intend to do for you. The manifesto is, how have they run the country in the last 10 years? That's the manifesto of PF. Where did they find the kwacha in 2011? 6 kwacha to $1. Where is the kwacha to $1 today? 22 kwacha. That's the manifesto of PF. The meaning of this decline in the kwacha dollar exchange rate is that if you are a trader at Comesa market, you needed to bring goods worth $1,000 from Tanzania, from elsewhere, you only needed 6,000 kwacha at that time. But because of the PF manifesto that has destroyed the kwacha, you now need 22,000 kwacha to get $1,000. I'm being conservative. As I told you, I love numbers. So to the nearest, you need 23,000 kwacha. 22.7, the nearest is 23. So you need 23,000 kwacha to bring the same quantity of goods for you to sell to look after your children. Who has stolen 23 kwacha minus 6,000 kwacha? Let's work the numbers. 17,000 kwacha. Who has stolen it from you? It is the PF. That is the PF manifesto. So you are poorer now by 17,000 kwacha. As a marketeer. That's the PF manifesto. The PF manifesto for the people to judge is that when you finish school under the MMD government before 2011, you got a job. Today, the PF manifesto is that you don't have a job after college, you roam the streets, you apply 20, 30 times, one job, applicants are 10,000. You don't get a job. That is the PF manifesto. Not that document they've given you to do another Dununa release to you. So, therefore, this election is for the people. It's about the people. And no one should take it away from the people. The PF manifesto lies in the corruption, which I've talked about. It lies in the debt. When they took over government in 2011, the debt portfolio was just around $3 billion. Today, the PF manifesto has led us to owing over $20 billion. That's the PF manifesto. People of Zambia, do not read that document called PF manifesto. There is nothing in it. The manifesto is how badly they run this country. Nkongole, Nakambaka. So, everything about the 2021 election is about the people and their welfare. The PF are like a man who marries a woman for 10 years, a young lady who is expecting the firstborn child, son or daughter, and for 10 years there's no child. After 10 years, the wife says, no, maybe I need to find another way of having a child. And the husband says, no, I'm going to give you a document called a manifesto, how I'll give you a child. Icona. Yes. You have failed to give that lady a child for 10 years. Now you are presenting a manifesto, the way you propose when you met her first. Which woman will agree? By the way, childbearing has an age limit. If you married at 40 and now you are 50, The man hasn't given you a child, you may never have a child. Rush to the UPND alliance. That's the husband that you Yeah, indeed. We want children. That's how societies grow. This alliance, UPND alliance, is saying to you, here is what we'll do for you. It's up to you now to give us the opportunity as the people to run this country. Also Tingoma. But a productive husband to a productive wife. So this election is about the people. So what Mr. Lungu was trying to do yesterday is to steal this election from you, the people. Will you agree to that?
No.
The answer is no. So, since the election is for the people, then this campaign, I put it to you, is the people's campaign. This is not an election here on the left and the UPND alliance on the right. No, this is an election on the left is the PF, it is the corrupt, it is all the greedy that you see and the destruction of the economy and jobs on the left. On the right is the UPND alliance, it is the people of Zambia. It is the ordinary citizens, farmers. It is the church, the upright church, Christian churches, Muslim, religious bodies, Hindus, Jews, call it, on the right. It is the people. We are just a platform. Why am I saying so? Because what my colleague, our colleague did yesterday was to take away the people's opportunity to better their lives. So you cannot say this is an election for the alliance against PF. It's an election of the people on the right side of history against the small group, the violent. That's it. I'm sure we agreed on this matter. I think we agreed on this matter. And therefore this campaign is a UPND members campaign, and it started, we opened our campaigns as the people on the right hand side on the 19th of May 2021 when we filed our nominations at Mulungushi Hall, and the PF tried to block us by bringing a court order. That which God wants to happen, no one stops. We launched our campaign that day. So the Mickey Mousing he was doing yesterday, issuing threats using the police and the people's institution, he was late. Our campaign opened already. So therefore, it's a UPND members, sympathizers campaign. ADD members, MDC, NDC members, Z members, RPP members, Zambia We Want group members, all of us. This is our campaign. To defy what Mr. Lungu was saying yesterday, this is a people's campaign, and the people always win. History shows us that. When we fought the colonialists, we worked in unit of purpose, we delivered. 1991, it was UNIP on the left, and the MMD and the people on the right, the movement for change, the people won. 2001, it was that who wanted a third term, may so rest in peace, and the people on the right, the people won. There was no third term. This is the time we need men and women of this country from all walks of life to campaign for change, and the people will win on the 12th of August, irrespective of what Mr. Lungu does or pronounces like what he did yesterday. The campaign is on. This is a campaign for the students. Remember, when this person who is the PF running mate on the left was Minister of Education, what did she do? She took away your meal allowances. This is your campaign. This is your campaign, students. This is your campaign, marketeers. Who is beating you in the markets? You've been beaten in the markets. Your market store has been burnt to the ground. You are extorted money, levies by PF cadres. This is your campaign. This is your campaign. You are a bus driver, taxi driver, truck driver. If you are a driver, a bus driver, minibus driver, PF cadres take money away from you. They even say, do put money here, this is Chilimba. But they take that money and share in Lusaka, Kulima Tower and other bus stops at Kamubodi there. This is your campaign. This is your campaign. So that this alliance comes in office and we commit the people of Zambia, there will be no charge to a marketeer, there will be no extortion taking away money from you, the bus driver, the taxi driver, truck driver. You will drive and run your business freely. We will not, and that's the policy position I'm giving here. We will not tax you. We will not allow cadreism to take money away from you. If you are suffering the way I'm describing, this is your campaign. This is your campaign. This is it. No one should restrict you from changing government so that you can continue having money stolen and the PF cadres are buying vehicles. They are making mattresses from your cash. They are making pillows from your cash. Only they have cash. You don't have cash, yet you are toiling from 6 in the morning, sometimes 5 in the morning, to 6 or 22 hours in the night, only to give that money to PF cadres. You don't give them the money, they beat you. This is your campaign. What he was doing yesterday was Mickey Mouse. That was Animal Farm. That was Animal Farm there. I put it to you, the campaign is on. You are a retiree, you have been camping at the Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs, whatever it is called today, finance, for your retirement benefits. You haven't got your retirement benefits. Some of you have died without your retirement benefits. This is your campaign. This is not the Alliance's campaign alone. This is your campaign. I'm addressing the people of Zambia. Those living in this country, those living outside this country. That's the beauty of media today. You can say what you said, Mr. Lungu, yesterday. You cannot shut this media. Its reach is bigger than you, sir. This campaign is for the sick, so that when you go to hospital, God's will, courtesy of the people of Zambia, through this alliance, only as a platform, you will go to a hospital after the change of government, you'll find medicines which are not expired, safe medicines. This is your campaign. You are an orphan, this is your campaign. So you can go to school up to the best of your brains. Money will not be a challenge. You will be like HH from the village, when to invest on a government bursary. We assure you of a budget that will be sufficient to meet your school fees, to meet your meal allowances. This is your campaign. And you are hearing me. You're hearing me. You're hearing us. Farmers, this is your campaign so that you can buy farming inputs at a lower cost. Instead of the 600, 700 kwacha per bag, this is your campaign so that you can get fertilizer at a price of 250 kwacha, a 50 kg bag. Whose campaign is this? This is yours. Why should Mr. Lungu stop you from campaigning for change that would deliver lower farming inputs, better price, paid on time, under this leadership? All the time. This is your campaign. Victims of PF violence, and there are many of you, there are many of us. This is your campaign. Because this alliance will end violence in our country. There will be no more violence. In the markets, in the bus stops, in the homes. No one will attack you for wearing party regalia. I invite the PF cadres that after you lose the elections through your Mr. Lungu on the 12th of August, under this alliance, you'll be free to wear the PF regalia. No one will attack you. Stop attacking other members who wear their party regalia. Since we're offering you an olive branch, this is your campaign as well. You can do the watermelon. It's allowed. Who allow you? You alone will allow you to do the watermelon. Because even your own friends will attack you. This is how bad this government is. This is how bad this government is. Churches, civil society. Don't forget that on the Copper Belt, a church gathering was analyzing the budget, 2019 budget or 2020 budget, and they were attacked by PF cadres inside the church. Bigoka Church in Matero, people had to go through the windows. During a prayer session, in a Christian country, a president who calls themselves a Christian, how can you allow such a thing to happen? Under this leadership, we are sworn in the morning. By afternoon, the smell, the nice smell of law and order and no violence will be in the air everywhere. Everywhere. This is your campaign. What happened a few days ago? People are campaigning in their houses. My fellow president, it's not just gatherings. Our people are told not to gather. They go and hold meetings in their houses. And their houses are burnt by PF cadres. Today, from here, I'm going to deliver blankets and mattresses and food to those houses. Today. It shouldn't be like that. It should never be like that. So, you can't campaign at a rally. You can't campaign in a community. What does that mean? Somebody wants a one-party state. Because we defeated the bulletin, now they want to practice the one-party state behavior. No. People of Zambia must say no. I can say more. I think it's not necessary. The message is clear. We launched our campaign on the 19th of May 2021 at Mulungushi. He referred to that issue yesterday, but he brought multitudes at exactly the same location. What is good for the goose must be good for the gander. Simple. That's English. Not my language. I just speak it. What is good for him must be good for this alliance and the people of Zambia. That is, don't kubeva at its worst. And we say no. And I want to remind fellow citizens who are singing these songs for PF that Zambians this time round will not vote for songs. Njala Sisanka. Njala Sisanka. Zambians will vote for substance. A team that they know will deliver. So, it is time for change. Through, on behalf of these alliance partners, we want to declare that we appoint all of you citizens, including you journalists, as campaign managers for the UPND Alliance, as campaign managers for change. Change for what? One, to reunite this country, which is divided. Two, to reconstruct this country. Change to reconstruct this country. Economic, to deliver jobs. Education, to put food on the table. What else? So you can go to the hospital when you are sick and you find medicines with efficacy that will treat you. Not poison, through expired drugs. So you can have a business. So you can freely operate the way you want, rule of law. respect for human rights, liberties and freedoms, governance, no corruption, zero tolerance to corruption. That's what the economic reconstruction is all about. And all of this will allow us to restore, to reconstruct our society's social fabric, which is broken today. Who doesn't want unity in our country? Who wants to be discriminated in their own country? It's painful. Who doesn't want their child to go to school? Freedom is coming. We are freedom fighters. So you are all campaigners, whether at a rally or in a home or elsewhere. My colleagues have already said, social distancing, masking, whatever else, recognize COVID-19, but go out and campaign. Go and campaign. You are the campaign managers. You are the managers for change. Don't say, where is Mwansa? Where is Milupi? Where is Akafumba? Where is Chikuse? No, where is HH? You are the HH of where you are. We shall see who will come in your house to stop you from telling your wife to vote for change. We shall see. We shall see who will stop you after church to whisper to a church member, vote for change, for reunification of our country, for reconstruction of our country. Is Mr. Lungu like air? Is he Jesus that he will be everywhere? No. Is he capable of stopping us? No. Fear not. Change is coming. Fear not. It's coming for the better. I want to thank these alliance partners. I want to thank the people of Zambia. I want to thank the people of Mpulungu, Nakonde, the people of Chama, the people of Kashinakaji, the people of Shango. I want to thank the people of Chikalaba, the people of Nyanji, the people of Chief Kambongo, for agreeing through their actions, through their activities. I see every day that they will be part of the change movement. They are freedom fighters. It's darkest before dawn, but dawn comes. And this is it. The line is drawn in the sand. Nothing and nothing should stop us from changing government. To me, personally, Mr. Lungu is the easiest candidate because we have seen his manifesto. We have seen his failures. We have seen his failures. We have seen his destruction of the economy. He is the easiest candidate. What we will not allow him to do is to introduce violence, to perpetuate violence. Protect your votes. Anyone who takes your votes, Hakaimwena. Because that's your right. There's no way people bring violence to you. The police doesn't protect you. What do? Self-defense. Protect yourselves, protect your vote. This is it. God bless Zambia. God bless our lovely citizens. Please remember, we love you so much. That's why we do what we do. That's why these men do what they do. We love you so much. These women, you the journalists, we love you so much. This is a rich country. It's obscene for its people to be so poor. I'm embarrassed personally because we can make people live a better life. And it should happen from the 12th of August, but through you. Turn out in big numbers to vote after your campaigns, protect your votes. Everything leaves to us will fix it. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and your Excellencies. It is now time for question and answer session. And we'll take 3 questions at a time. And the chairperson will direct who will answer the specific questions that will be asked. Thank you. You can start the first set of 3. introduce yourself before you ask the question. And let's limit the questions to a specific topic at hand. Unless, of course, I'm guided by the person. Yes, first question?
I'm Comrade Felix. I write for Kwilanzi News Zambia and the Rainbow newspaper. My question is the rally or the launch on the Copper Belt on this weekend?
Another question? Three. Ernest is now done Milupi. Another hand? Give your hand up to the chairperson to direct.
No, not a good.
I can't see any hands. Maybe.
Maybe it's so clear. Like all the actions were the file there.
Yes. Of course, then we can check the first one and see whether there are any other answers, and then we can end this paper. Okay. You can answer from there.
Yes. Derek, thank you very much, Derek Sierra. You see, this defines the issues we are talking about. How unfair the playing field is being made by Mr. Lungu. He launches his campaign yesterday here in Lusaka. We in the UPND Alliance have decided that we're going to launch on Sunday in Kitwe, Copper Belt. What does he do? He schedules a visitation to Copper Belt. And because of that visitation, the whole Copper Belt is sealed, completely closed. Why? So that this man, who is sought after, not only him, I think now you have coined a saying that is Lulu versus Hannah. We like it. We like Hannah ourselves. Very similar to Hannah, but it's Hannah. Hakainde Namango versus Lungu Luo. Okay? So they say you can't go there because the whole Copper Belt is now sealed because yeah, the whole airspace. These are the issues we are talking about. Totally closed. And we get calls. Today I've had something like 5 calls. Oh, you people are quiet, you people are this, and so on and so forth. They don't understand the circumstances under which, when you live in a dictatorship, this is what happens. How do you do that? So by their own, I don't know whether they call it law or whatever, we are stopped from going on the Copper Belt, Derek. The police have given us 6 June, but we know they're playing games. These are the games that we are saying, you, Mr. Kankanja, you are a citizen of this country. That position you hold as Inspector General is supposed to protect all of us. These are the issues we are saying, you, ECZ, through your chairman, these are the issues that you are put there, paid by public money, to ensure that we do not have situations like that. If this continues, we are going to call for civil disobedience in this country. People power. People say Zambians are docile, too much. That's what has led to the figures that our president here was giving there when we defined the manifesto. And for your information, the people are with us. Wherever you go, the reason why Mr. Lungu is coming up with these issues, he has sensed people have moved away. In fact, they were probably not even with them. But even those that were pretending have now shifted away. And we knew that their campaign was going to be based on two things: bribing people. When you are bribing someone, no matter how brazen you are, you want a little bit of secrecy. So therefore, at a public rally, you can't give. So to enable them to do whatever they want with the millions and billions of kwacha they have, they want to be doing it now, so-called door-to-door. Ourselves in the UPND Alliance, our biggest weapon is to deliver the message. To show the people where the country was before these people came, where the country is. These figures I was talking about really should really touch you, from 6 kwacha to 23, 17 kwacha gone.
1,000?
Yeah.
17,000?
Yeah. 17,000 kwacha gone. The only way we can do that is to engage with the people and also tell them what is it. People say, oh no, they have no message. I'm a farmer. Now, if I go in the shop, bag of fertilizer, which I was talking about, is 675 kwacha. If a party or a group of people called the UPND Alliance tell me that that bag is going to be 250 kwacha, as a farmer, it makes me dance. And I'm not the only farmer in this country. So many, millions of people depend on farming. And our role as farmers is to interrogate that, how possible is it to lower that cost to 250? And we say, yes, it is possible. Because we have looked on the international market. How much is a bag of fertilizer? $8. 160. So you bring in bulk transportation, you bring in the margin, you can sell it at the price.
Profitably.
Profitably. We're not going to injure anybody.
Win-win situation?
Yes. What will that do? It will lower down the costs of food in this country. But above all, it will make it profitable for the millions of people in the rural areas and elsewhere. Commercial, peasant, small-scale farmers, medium-scale farmers, to be engaged in farming profitably so that they can send their children to school. When they're ill, they can go to hospitals and so on. This is the message that the people are waiting for. Yes.
That's the process.
The food is cheaper. The stock feed for chickens costs more. Those who supplement on cattle and sheep and so on, everything goes low. This is how we're going to go. When we talk about high costs of prices, when people don't know they're just talking to just be the same, it will not be the same. Because we are focused, we understand figures. These don't. The reason why fertilizer is coming at 675 is because there are so many frames. The huge margins they're making, some of it goes into PF officials, government officials, and into their party. So it is poor people who are paying for that. So they want to stop us from delivering these messages to the people. And we talk about so many things. Creation of employment. If people ask us, if we make him stand up and say, how are we going to create employment in this country for our youth? We can talk about that. The program of the UPND Alliance is well thought out, interrogated, because people here have got experience, that I can tell you. Mr. Lungu yesterday says, no, PF officials going to explain to the people that, through the so-called investment and so on, we have finished the load shedding. What nonsense. I've spent years, I'm an electrical engineer by profession. If you don't know how power stations are run, you should come and ask me. That includes the managing director at CESCO. The load shedding was caused by, first of all, drought. This year we didn't have drought. We have water. Last week I was on the Kafue Dam to check on the water levels. When God has given you rain, don't claim benefit. which is what he's trying to do. They are failing to commission Kafue Lower. Every facet of governance in this country, we have knowledge, we have views of what needs to be done better. Under his presidency, there will be no load shedding. Even in drought years, if you run ZESCO properly, they will have reserves. What happens with these power supply companies is when you have difficulties like that, out of the reserves, they're able to bring electricity from what we call the surplus areas, like Mozambique. Certain years, DRC, they'll bring it so that our economy is not disturbed. That's what he is promising. Why do you think I'm with him? Why do you think he's with him? I don't follow people for nothing. I see brain. Yes. So that is what I've done, but we are warning them. They continue like this, the next stage will be for us to call for civil disobedience in this country. And the people will follow us. Yes, Sir President.
Yeah, just to add what Chairman, Co-Chair Milupi has said, he's right. You remember there was a time we lost this UPND, our youth chairman, on the Copper Belt, and I was on the way to Copper Belt. This man behaved like what a 6-year-old child did. He also changed his program and decided to go to the Copper Belt and shut the airspace. This time round, we will not tolerate that nonsense. Yes. We will not tolerate that nonsense. Therefore, we have a program, these alliance partners, activism from yesterday. What you see today is just the beginning. To remedy that anomaly, but while we are doing that, the power belongs to you, the 18 million Zambians. Campaign in the buses, campaign in the markets, campaign in the houses, campaign to your shamari. Yes. Sima sobela yai. Nkondo hii. Sima sobela yai. Campaign after church. We Adventists, after the main service, before main service, we have Sabbath school. After the main service, we have afternoon service. In between there, you are taking your lunch. Campaign. Campaign. The Catholics have what they call small Christian communities. Am I right?
Yeah.
Campaign in those small Christian communities, and we shall overcome. Chitente. Eh? I know the New Apostolic here. They have a very strong network, how they operate. Campaign, use that network. Vana Malozi, I know you will forgive me. Vana Vayesu. If you have to do what I'm going to say now, do it. Use Nokushimba. Malozi Lazima Nokushimba. I will not explain it in English. Use Nokushimba. Campaign. I know the chairman here would explain it. But by any means, by all means, you must campaign. That's the message. Change is brought by the people. We are just your tools. We are the guys who are not afraid. You can take us to jail. Not for 1 week and we start mentioning awkward things. No. Even in jail we campaign. We are very popular in Mwansa. Yes. So when they detain you for a night, you go to the cells, but you could say, campaign in the cell. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Okay. I think he has used a very big lows wage. You understand what it means. But I think for the benefit of
Thank you. That's what I wanted to add.
My brother here, Nokushimba. You know the laws are the system of governance before the white people, even when the white man was there. Nokushimba is a system where messages are relayed in this manner. I tell him, you tell the neighbor what to tell. So you can see how it spreads. So before you know it, the message has gone that far. And one particular example in the history of the losses, you know, in 1830, around 1835, the colonials from South Africa overran them. And they took over governance. But 30 years later, through the same system, the Akafumba, they said, on this particular day, we are going to rise. So this one told this one, this one told that. And on that day, all of this were flushed out. So it's a good system. Thank you very much for bringing it out. Use it.
Thank you very much, Excellencies. I don't say no hand. I take it from the lady.
My name is Constance Member from Revelation TV. Mr. President, I think it's clear what you have mentioned that these elections are a bit personal and maybe due to economic reasons. But I have been on the ground, I interact with a lot of people in the communities, and their main concern is voter protection. How are you going to ensure that you protect their votes? Because men will be like, we want HH, he's our only hope, but what if they steal or they read? In the last election, I think we were hearing so many stories about votes being in graveyards and all that. How are you going to ensure that that doesn't repeat itself?
Good afternoon. I'm Joseph Kamendanda from QFM and QTV. I just wanted to get clarity with regards to your campaign strategy. Now that you are a more enhanced team with all different capable presidents merging up to form this alliance, will you still wait to have a campaign held in one particular place when you can divide yourselves, because all those men that are seated on the high table and others that are not there are capable to carry on campaigns? Because I'm asking with a view that you had highlighted that after informing the Copper Belt that you are expected to hold a rally this weekend, President decides to go there, and that has overshadowed your campaign. Don't you see this being duplicated in other provinces where you might want to go? Then the president also decides to have a presidential visit there. Why not divide yourselves and carry on with your campaigns?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Davi-tech-media. I'm from Revelation TV. Of late, Your Excellency, you have seen how the media is awash with support from Eastern, Northern and Wapra and the core belt, which I guess that these people, they are waiting for your tone, because the current campaign, I think it would demand a lot of aggressiveness. I don't think UPND has to lean back or shrink in and expect to win. So what will happen if after the pronouncement of Mr. Lungu yesterday, and then it happens that his MPs, you see them running around and having similar groupings, what will be our immediate reaction? Because that's the tone your people, if Eastern and the Northern can come out like that, they're simply telling you, we want you to lift up again.
Three very good questions. The first one from, I think, Constance, water protection. My colleague here, co-chair, will take it. And all these, as they are answered by different presidents, our presidential candidate, President Ernest, will be free to fill in where we have left something. The next one is Joseph of QFM, strategy now that we have more president. I think that is right under my street, because having been given this small stool as chairman of the alliance, I think I can speak on behalf of that. So I'll tackle that one. Isaac from Revelation. We talk about the support from the east, north, Wapula, maybe even by implication, places like Copper Belt and so on. So I'll ask President Kuse to start dealing with that, and we will fill in, because these are very important questions. Thank you very much. And we will deal with water protection.
Thank you very much, Chair and Mr. President. Let me begin by saying that water protection is what will determine whether we win or lose. And I think we would be blind to reality if we do not accept the fact that there is intention to undermine free and fair elections, including to undermine the vote of the people by those who are in power. Why do I say this? Their actions speak louder than words. They're already trying to stop us from campaigning. And so obviously they will try to do anything else possible to keep themselves in power. The vote is counted at the polling station. That's the first point where we must be vigilant. The polling station. Every polling station must have our members guarding the vote. They must be there counting the vote. They must be there at the time people are voting. Because there are times when, in crookery, people on the other side may want to use some of their members who will be at the polling station to vote for people who may not know how to vote. My advice to our members who will be at the polling station is, you are free to tell someone who doesn't know how to vote that you vote for them if they say they belong to this alliance. There is no law that stops that from happening. If you have a relative who doesn't know how to vote, you are free to go with that relative into the voting booth and help them to vote the way they want. Don't allow someone else to vote for them whom you don't know. Secondly, it is important to ensure that when the counting of votes takes place, our members are there. Because we need to know the figures right at the polling station. It is now the duty of the returning officer at the polling station to announce figures. But it doesn't end there. We must go with them to the collecting station. Because you see, if we are going to add votes to what has been counted, they can only do it as the votes go from polling station to where they will be collecting all the votes together. So we need to go with the numbers that we have gotten from the polling stations to the collecting station, where now all the votes from the various constituencies, various polling stations are counted. Because we have the numbers from where we have come, those polling stations, we will be able to challenge them if they change the numbers. If we do not go as an agent from the polling station to where they are counting, figures can change. But in addition to that, while we know that EZZ is the final authority in giving the numbers, it will be important for people at those stations to also send us the numbers they have from there as a party for us to know what they have done, so that we are able to compare with the figures that are coming from the center at probably Mulungush, as they normally use it. We must be able to say, but where has those figures come from? If you recall, during the late Mr. Sata's time, there was a time, Mr. President, when he queried the results that came from Eastern Province. He queried because he knew the number of votes which were there. And when the figures were inflated, he asked the question, where have they come from? Now, if we do not know, they can dribble us. We must know. And it is important also, and this will be part of our strategy, it is public knowledge. We know that there are voters registers. We will have them at every polling station. So we will know who have voted, at least in terms of numbers, so that we avoid a situation where figures are inflated from polling station to polling station. So we are ready for them. Very ready. And we will make sure that no one steals our vote. If they do, there will be no peace.
Thank you very much. Just to add on to that, the question was vote protection. Okay. Now, whose vote? It's not a Hakainde vote. Here, when there was one vote, this man. Milupi has one vote. Akafumba one vote. Everybody here, all of you have one vote. So, the primary responsibility is you. It's your vote. I'm talking about all citizens. You protect your vote. Make sure that you cast it properly. Our agents at polling station will help you protect that vote. But we are asking now as groups at polling stations and so on, the community protect the vote. My co-chair has clearly elaborated what needs to be done. We are also aware. Let us not pretend. You know, we know what is on the ground. Mr. Lungu and the PF know what is on the ground. Where is this so-called confidence coming from? What is it that gives you that confidence? Me, I am absolutely convinced beyond any measure of doubt. Even when I dreamed, I know that this man won in 2015. Wherever I am, I know in 2016 he won the elections. However, he was not sworn in because PF tampered with the system electronically, computer-wise, and so on. We are 100% aware of what they're doing in this particular field. We know. Even the people that are assisting, we know which nations they are coming from. We know. I want to mention them for now. The time will come for us to mention them. Which nations these people who are messing up, even where they're setting up camps, we know. But it's for the citizens to protect their votes. Thank you very much. Mr. Akafumba, do you want to add? Okay, let me deal with this question from Joseph. Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay. We are all unanimous, us as the presidents in the UPND Alliance, in supporting Mr. Hakainde as our candidate. No dissent whatsoever. From even those of our police who are not here, and they are not here not because of anything. Mr. Kelvin KBF, Kelvin Bwalia Fugbe, is out of town. And he's aware of this meeting. He would have been with us if he was. This is an impromptu meeting. Mr. Mutati too supposed to be here, but we had to call this agent. So this will be happening. So the next meeting you may not find me, you may not see me, because I'm in Mumbai, campaigning and so on. So that should not say, oh no, we didn't see Mr. So the alliance is breaking up. Yes, we are also very united and very supportive of the running mate. Mrs. Mutalena Mango. Let no one tell you that, no, this one was not happy, this one, no. I know because I dealt with it, no. And again, just to tell you that we were fully aware of who was going to be the running mate before.
Yeah.
Why? Because we consulted each other. Nobody, none of us went there with private papers like, maybe it's me, like, it didn't happen.
5, 6 of them.
But what I can assure you is these are people of substance. Eh? Dr. Mwansa here, he can be president in this country, no problem. Mr. KPF, Mr. Milupi, Mr. Chikuse, Mr. Akafumba there. In their own right, the reason we are bringing this thing together to show this unity is not just so that it is for public. These people have got the constituents. I'm not talking about physical or regional. There are people that listen to them. Okay? Either from where they come from or the positions that they have taken. They are followers. We cannot waste that talent by having whatever Hakainde goes, they're following. It's a waste of talent. Number one, this PF government, these dictators and so on, they will be targeting meetings like that. Very soon, and I say very soon, our program will be out where all these presidents will have specific areas of operation. Occasionally we will come together. We don't actually have this rally in Lusaka. We may want to display to the nation that we are together. So we'll call whoever is in Kaputa, come back here on Sunday, the secretary meeting. Whoever is in Kalau will come back. Whoever is in Chadiza come back, and so on. But in the main, we will facilitate where presidents go out, because these are listened to. Okay. That program will come out very soon. So please have no fear. We will use these talents, we will use them appropriately. The last question, support East, North, and so on. Mr. President, you start on that one, please. Assisted by President Akafumba.
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, it must be put on record that the statement that was made by President Lungu yesterday is not only unconstitutional, but a dangerous statement. It is a very dangerous statement because President Lungu was directing the police, professionals that know their job, to break the law. To break the law, to defy the Constitution. So it is not only unconstitutional, but a very, very dangerous conflict, thereby creating a real source of conflict in this nation. Deliberately creating a source of conflict. Now, when you talk about President Lungu and the Eastern Bloc, the Southern Bloc, comrades, you are experts, you are media experts. When we talk about the crowds of President Lungu or the Patriotic Front, we are talking about the file and rank of the PF. There are no members in the communities that are supporting the Patriotic Front. The only people that are creating a bit of crowd are the file and rank of the Patriotic Front. So we're talking about and they don't have branches. We are talking about a provincial chairman, a secretary at the district. Those are the people that can create a crowd. You saw when President Lungu was addressing the so-called national campaign yesterday. You are media experts. Check at the Facebook, on Facebook. There were less than 400 people following. So where are they going to get their crowds? Even in Eastern Province, even in Northern Province. To be specific, it was 379 people that were following President Lungu on Facebook yesterday. So where are they? And that's why they are banning musicians, the so-called musicians, which President Lungu was saying, if we're not do, we have empowered musicians and so on. They have tried to sing for Lungu. They came up with a song, Tunina Reverse. They tried, Don't Kubeba. Now they have, they don't have any songs to sing for President Lungu. That's why the only song that they have, when you win, what they are telling us is that Zambians should shipikisha. You know, when you have got a bad a bad husband or wife, and then Vashimukombe Baisa, what they will tell you at Walisa Laweka, you win, just continue. Are you getting it? That is what now the song, that is the song. If you have heard the song for the Patriotic Front, the musicians have run out of songs now to sing for President Lungu because they've realized he's got no vision. So we can't shipitisha because the Constitution provides for change. So what are we saying in a nutshell? PF has lost the national character. So even when you talk about Eastern Province, Northern Province, it is not there, comrades. So what we are saying is that let the Patriotic Front in Eastern Province, in Northern Province, in Southern Province, if they have got people, let them go and campaign. The UPND Alliance, the Zambian people, the church mother bodies, you the media, the civil society, we shall also campaign because the period, as the president and the presidents have put it, is time for campaign. So we are not going to be restrictive to say only ourselves must campaign. All of us, let us campaign. Let us compete. 2021, the votes will speak for themselves. President Hakainde Hichilema will be in State House with running mate. It's not joking, Matt. This time around, we don't want to hear youths going to the courts and camping at the courts and begin to intimidate judges. It will not work. It will not work. The youths are on the ground. The Zambians are on the ground. We are on the ground. We are holding the Constitution because that is what gives us the power. So forget about, don't worry about the Eastern Province, the Northern Province. Everyone has changed. Everything is about Zambia. Zambia have decided that we must change government for the better of everyone to create an enabling environment where people live with dignity and respect.
We thank the questioner. We thank the questioner for bringing that question out. Because yesterday, the day before, certain meetings where I was examining tables of how the mood of the country has shifted in our direction. From 2011, 2015, 2016, we have seen how things are moving. If I had my figures here, I would show constituency by constituency. We are now going to go into even wards, see how they are moving, to analyze, to know where we need to focus. You know, when we, President Hakainde here, the Vice President Raina Mango, fired the nominations on the 19th, on Wednesday 19th. We were accused of failing from Southern, from passing, and so on. Total lie. They will not mind. The opposition doesn't have that sort of money. Okay. But what we have is the goodwill of the people. As exemplified, or sometimes there is big words, exemplified, as shown by this Facebook following. They launched that thing, they have 400 numbers we have heard. On the day that he fired, this man fired, we had 10 million followers. Did we bust all those to say 10 million? And you can confirm this. So the ground has shifted. That is why they're coming up with these desperate moves to try to stop us. But it's too late. We in engineering, when we have a massive body moving like a huge train, don't say it's only moving at 4 miles an hour. That momentum, in engineering, it is the mass of that, or the weight of that times the speed at which it moves. That's what gives the impact. That's what this thing is all about. It's a massive thing. It's moving with momentum, and Mr. Lungu knows that. He's trying to abuse the powers of head of state to try to slow down the thing. It will not happen because it's unconstitutional. Minister,
well, let me just say one or two things. Members of the press, when you see a president who has been in power for 7 years and more advertise a road
Thank you very much. At this stage, Lusaka is very, very, very important. Lusaka also has shifted. It's shifted. The mayor of Lusaka is a very critical position in the governance of this nation. This is the capital. That's why when you hear of the mayor in London, the mayor of New York, the mayor of, these are important. So we have our candidate here. It will be remiss of us not to give him maybe a few seconds or maybe to say something in front of the press.
Members of the press, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the presidential candidate for the UPND Alliance, the chairman and co-chair of the Alliance, and the president, Akafumba and Chikuse. May I just say, all protocols observed. Lusaka is moving forward because time has come for change, and time is here for change. We know that Lusaka was intended to be a garden city, but at the moment we can ask the mayors who have been there or who have been there. The question is, how clean is the city? What sort of things are we doing when it comes to town and country planning? We are saying, you vote us in and you are voting for order. You are voting for cleanliness. You're voting for sanitation back into Lusaka. The people of Kanyama have the highest number of voters, 177,000.